Hello, my name is Jamie, and today I am doing a book review for The Last Town on Earth. You can see that this is not a little kid's book. Finally, I do a lot of book reviews for books that I read with my kids, so I've been trying to be more consistent about reading or doing a review on a kid's book and then one that I've been reading personally. And this is one that I just finished with a book club that I'm in. We finished this, I don't know, last month sometime, and we are starting a Christmas book today, actually. Well, by the time you see this video, it will have been last week, because I'm filming a few videos at the same time to try to knock them out. This book was very interesting. It takes place during the time of the Spanish flu. And during that time, there were some towns that quarantined against the rest of the world. They stayed in their own little bubble of a town to try to combat the virus, to try to not get it. In this book, this town, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Commonwealth. But they decide that they're going to quarantine because they don't want to get the Spanish flu. They've heard stories about it, and they've heard about how it just is so infectious and people die in an alarming percentage of cases. So they were like, we don't want to go through that. We don't want to protect our families. So they decided to do a quarantine. And the stories about how the flu gets into their town, even though they did the quarantine, the flu still got in. And it talks about how people reacted to that, like how they started viewing each other with suspicion, and how once very affectionate neighbors are all of a sudden standoffish, and when there was no crime before, the crime picked up, and just how people react in tragic circumstances. That's what this book is about. I thought the ending was a little I don't know. There was some resolution that I felt didn't happen. There was some loose ends, and I don't want to give away what they were, but I did feel like there was some things that weren't concluded that could have been. As far as its cleanliness, if you're curious about that, there was profanity. It went chapters. There would be chapters of absolutely no cuss words, and then you would be introduced to a more raucous character, or a character that's more rough around the edges, and there would be like pages of profanity, nothing like Stephen King. I have a book that I want to do a review on later, and we'll talk about the profanity in a Stephen King novel, but it was nothing like that. But there was some, and it was noticeable. But the book as a whole, most of it wasn't like the norm. It was depending on what character you were getting to know. The sexuality, there was, I believe it was just one instance where the characters do have sex, but it doesn't like describe it. They let you know, that they wanted to, and like leading up to it, but they don't like go into it. You're not reading the actual act. You just know it happened, which I appreciate, because I do not like reading that type of stuff. So I appreciate that it didn't go into detail. And there was a couple characters that kiss later on in the book, but as far as sexual content, I believe that was it. Probably not my most favorite book ever. It wouldn't immediately be a book that I would choose to read. We read it in our book club, and out of we usually vote on what book we're going to read, and out of the options, this sounded the most interesting to me. I wouldn't have picked it up on my own, but I don't know if I would recommend it. It's not the type of book that I normally read. Take from that what you will. I hope you are having a wonderful almost winter. We're still in fall officially, but it is getting colder. I love the cold. I'm glad that it is chilly. I like wearing sweaters and stuff. I'd rather be cold and put on a sweater than it be too hot, and you know, you can only take off so many layers of clothing before you just kind of happen to deal with the heat. So I am appreciative of the cold right now. I guess I'll talk to you in the next video. I don't have much else to say about that. Merry Christmas, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye. Hi, so something I forgot to mention when I did the review is there is some violence in the book, and I completely forgot about it, I'm sorry, until someone in my book club mentioned that it made them sick to their stomach reading it. So, and I agree with them. I didn't like it either. I don't know why it totally left my mind while I was making the actual review, but there it is. There is, I think, 7 murders. And it talks about the blood and the wound, talks about what the person being killed is thinking while they're being killed. So that's a little bit disturbing. And of course, the book is about the Spanish flu. So a lot of people are dying from the flu, and it describes that, like skin turning blue and bleeding out of, you know, every place. It's just, it's in there. It's not the entirety of the book. Most of the book is, again, talking about the relationships and how people are handling the bad situation and everything, but there are those instances there. So I thought I'd let you know, didn't want to just leave that out. Sorry, I forgot in the actual review, but there you go.